Members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th Better Together Showcase. I'm Sarah Thomas and I'm delighted to welcome you here today. We'd like to acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. The Better Together Showcase series is an important part of the Better Together program, which is about bringing citizens' voices into government decision-making. To date, we've held 4 showcases. The first was around regional engagement. The second was on co-design, co-creating and co-delivering. The third looked at the impact of the internet and communities and how we connect. And the fourth one was around unleashing the genius of the crowd, and we launched our Fund My Community program. Today's showcase focuses on examining the design behind community engagement. We have 3 world-renowned speakers and representatives from the government, South Australia, to dissect why we need to design properly our community engagement programs. Today is really for leaders and practitioners to understand why design matters, how design can help or hinder meaningful engagement, what good design looks like, what poor design looks like, and how to effectively design engagement. Before we commence, there are a few little housekeeping tasks that I'd just like to cover. You may have seen as you came in, toilets are out and to the right. If there is an emergency, we evacuate out the glass doors out onto the balcony and down to the river side. I'd also like to draw your attention to the screens on the sides. They are displaying the Twitter feed for today. The hashtag is BT Showcase, so if you're on Twitter, we'd encourage you to get involved. We will also be taking questions for the panel from Twitter, so if you'd like to use that, please feel free to do that. So today's format, we're going to hear from 4 speakers. We'll have 2 speakers before the morning tea, which will be at 10:25, and then we'll have our final 2 speakers after that, and then we'll have a panel session. We've got quite a packed program, so we will ask you to save your questions for the panel session rather than following each of the speakers. We've also got a really innovative question functionality for you today. If you would like to get out your smartphone or your tablet, we'd like to invite you to use our online question collation tool. The URL is up on the screen there, so you don't actually need to put the www in. You just type in polevent.com/SC5. Now, in that tool, there's a couple of different functionalities, but one of them is it allows you to ask the speakers a question. So there's a couple of questions already in there. You can vote on other people's questions, and what we'll do is at the end of morning tea, we'll close off that functionality, and then we'll take the top 5 questions to the speakers. We'll also have an opportunity to take questions from the floor, so if you'd like to do that as well, we will have that as well. So the second part of the Polevent tool allows you to vote on questions. So we're going to do that live this morning. The first one we're going to do is a deliberative polling question. So I'd like to run a little deliberative poll this morning, and then we'll have a look at that at the panel this after morning tea. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with deliberative poll, it's a mechanism used in public engagement where people are asked a question, then given some information, and then asked the question further on. So we're going to do a very, very mini one this morning, see if there's any difference in the responses. In fact, one of our speakers today will focus his presentation on a deliberative poll case study, and we'll be hearing from Professor Kusa later on about that. So the question we want to ask today should appear on your screens now if you've got your Polevent app open. And it's also, there's the instructions up there. But the actual question we'd like to ask you, can you see that? People have got the Polevent app open. Can you see the question on there? Oh, here it is. Great. Excellent. So the question is, when designing an engagement, it's important to balance the complexity of the task with the number of people you're seeking to engage. Which of the following do you think would best deliver an outcome that reflects what the community wants? 5,000 people doing a 5-minute deliberative activity, 1,000 people doing a 30-minute activity, 100 people doing a half day, and 30 people doing a week long. So if you would like to enter your results now, we can see them live on the screen. Can I just see a show of hands if anyone's got the app live at the moment? A couple? Oh, there we go. Okay, so the results are starting to come through. So it looks like a bit mixed. No one's a fan of 5,000 people doing a 5-minute activity. I'll give you a couple of minutes to enter that through, because what we'll do is we'll then compare the results to later on this morning.